So great news, everybody. I actually found my old dental school ID from freshman year. So this is me with the Fabio hair. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of missing that hair. But when I found this, it really made me think back to dental school and really just how bad it was and how much I really just wanted to get into the real world and be a dentist. I thought that everything was gonna be just like 100% okay. And the truth is that first year out of dental school, there was actually kind of a reality check and I had to learn a lot. I wanted to kind of let you know what I went through in that year after dental school so you can kind of maybe learn from those mistakes and maybe be a little more prepared. So as you probably know, when you graduate, you actually, you don't graduate Friday and go to work Monday. You have to actually, the school sends you transcripts into the state. You've had to, pass your boards and national boards and all that stuff. And then it takes a couple weeks to get your license. So before you can actually work, you sort of have this limbo going from school to real life. And it's kind of a weird situation because you go from going like 100 miles an hour in dental school to now nothing to do. And then when you start working, you sometimes don't know what that's going to be like. When I was a first year or a second year, even a third year in dental school, I had this thought that once I get to work, things are gonna be a lot easier. And don't get me wrong, dental school really is, it's terrible. You guys know that. I was really short-sighted kind of looking at just getting past that I thought, at least I had it in my head, that when I start working, life is gonna be a lot easier. And I really underestimated how much work the work of dentistry was going to be. There actually is a daily grind, and it took a few weeks for me to kind of come to terms with that. So I was working 5 days a week, full-time job, and by the end of the week, you get really burned out. What I wish I would have done is really taken better care of eating right, exercising, and really just kind of mentally taking care of myself right after dental school, because again, I had it in my head that things were gonna be easy, and when they weren't, it was kind of a reality check. Dentistry is really demanding physically for sure. When you're working, going from dental school, one filling in the morning, maybe one or two in the afternoon, to now you have a full work day of doing fillings and running around doing hygiene checks, that gets really hard on your body in a way that you might not have thought of. So you can get a ton of tension in your shoulders, a lot of back pain. And what I wish I would have done a little bit better is get on a really regular fitness routine. For some people that's lifting weights. I know for me personally, that helps a lot just to get stronger. It helps sort of alleviate some of those minor aches and pains. Some people it's yoga, some people it's, Pilates, whatever it is, sort of paying attention to staying strong and fit and really having good posture while you're working. And that's a habit I feel like I'm really still trying to learn. Another big mistake I made was overestimating my skill level. And I really think that this is just the nature of dentistry. My guess is everybody is going to go through this. Because when you're in dental school, you don't really see what your fillings look like a year or two down the road. And everybody has this idea that, you do it on the typodont first and your fillings are really good. And then now you feel like, you've done it with a rubber dam on a person and you can do a great MO filling. And the truth is you're probably good and probably capable of some really good work. I had an instructor that told me flat out, you don't know how good you are until you see your own crap coming back to you. Everything looks great the day you do it. Honestly, most things look great 6 months, even a year down the road. But once you start seeing your own work 3-4 years out, you really get a sense of what works and what doesn't. And when I got to my third and fourth year out, that was sort of a reality check. And I realized maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was initially. The truth is I was actually a lot better that third and fourth year out. It was just those first and second year things that I did. I kind of realized later that, I should have done it this way. I should have been a little more meticulous with bonding, things like that. What I would do is just take every opportunity. If you notice something that you've done that has failed, it doesn't mean that you're getting worse. It just means you've done so much work that you are sort of hitting those statistics that, 1 out of every 100 is going to fail within 6 months or whatever the number is for you. Take that as an opportunity to learn and try to figure out why did that fail and how can I avoid that in the future. And the last thing that I'll mention, I promise you will get burned by this at some point. I have done it multiple times and it still happens to me. The mistake of assuming that I can do better than what is already there. So you're gonna have this experience at some point where you see a new patient, you take some x-rays and you notice this filling on, say it's like number 14 DO, it's a composite, it's got some stain, it's just really ugly and the contour is terrible, but there's no decay around it and it just looks bad. So you're looking at this filling, you've done a ton of DOs, you know what you're capable of, and you can do a ton better than what's there. So you bring this guy in and you start this filling and you realize 5 minutes into it that this is gonna be a tough time. He won't let you set him back in the chair. He needs the suction every 5 seconds because he refuses to swallow his own spit. He can't open very wide. His tongue is fighting with you. Everything is just against you in this appointment. And after you prep it, you realize filling this thing is gonna be a nightmare. I'm just gonna be happy if I can get something in there that's serviceable. Those are the moments where it hits you that, you know what, I think that's probably what happened the first time and why that filling looks the way it did. I'm not telling you not to replace bad dental work. I think something like 75% of dentistry is replacing failed dental work. But at the same time, it will come with time to know, like, not only your skill level and what you're capable of, but how that skill level is going to apply in different situations. Because the DO that you do, that filling that you do, is going to be completely different on somebody that can open really wide and is really cooperative versus somebody who can't open at all. And it might not even be their fault. It's just, you know, the way they're built. They can't open, their cheek is really puffy, their tongue just, you know, wants to compete with your handpiece while you're doing that filling. Even though I can do a good filling in a certain situation, you get this sense of how your skill set is going to transfer across, you know, a lot of situations. So like I said, I'm still learning, but one thing I've learned to do is ask myself, is what I'm going to do in that tooth, is it better than what's already in there? And if I am not convinced that I can do a better filling than what's already there, we may choose just to monitor that for the time being and maybe check it out in 6 months. So those are the 3 mistakes that I feel like were the biggest ones my first year out of dental school. Number 1 was underestimating how much work dentistry was actually going to be. Number 2 was sort of overestimating my skill level and really thinking that I could do absolutely everything perfectly every time. And number 3 is kind of like number 2. But it's not just assuming my own skill level. It's sort of assuming that I'm better than somebody else or better than the last guy. Again, I don't want to discourage you from shooting for excellence or really thinking you're good if you are good. But at the same time, I would encourage you to kind of tweak that sense of, if you see something that looks a little bit rough in the patient's mouth, understand that there might be a little bit more to that story. And over time, I have become a lot more conservative and I tread with a lot more caution when I see those types of things. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Please give it a like and subscribe. Next time, I want to talk about my first job straight out of dental school. I worked for a community health clinic for like a year before I bought a practice. If there's anything else that you'd like me to talk about specifically, again, please drop it down in the comments and I will see you guys next time.